All right, I am live. What's up, Jason?
Good, good. Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday. We're past the halfway mark. One more day after this. Was that your wife, girlfriend at the meetup? Are you there?
Fully.
Sorry, say it again.
Yes, that was my girlfriend.
Awesome. Well, that was the first time I think I met her, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's the
Well,
first time she just come to see what's going on, why I'm always out and about.
well, good, good. Is she on board with what you're doing? Like, is she fully supportive and loves it, or where does she fit in? Is she helping you with the business, or is she just kind of like a person on the sidelines viewing the action? What'd she do with you?
Yeah, pretty much she, is either irradiate about everything and just follows me, so just supports me on the side.
Love it, dude. Love it. Well, awesome, man. Thank you for coming. Chris, how you doing, buddy? I haven't seen you in a little bit. A lot of good news in the AI
Yo,
biz, right?
yeah, what's going on, man? It's
S-
going well. It's gonna put money stuff here. It's good to see you too. It's
Your
been a while.
microphone, your
I've been in the
microphone is
field.
very bubbly right now. I don't know if it's your
Hold on,
connection speed or your
hold on a second.
mic.
It's my mic.
Okay.
Let me see if that's better.
There we go. Say something.
Yeah, it's a little bit bubbly, so probably. I think it's my actually, you know what? I have a good idea. I can fix this pretty easy.
You've got
Hold on a
great
second.
ideas, bro.
Give me a second. I'll do this. This.
Perdita, how you doing?
Hi, doing good. Just came to learn.
I love it. I love it. So I had Chris, I'm going to get back to you. As soon as your microphone's good, I want to chat with you for a second.
Yeah, it should be good now.
Oh yeah, that's great. That's very much better. So real quickly, if anyone's watching this right now and listening in right now, by the way, we're live streaming this to YouTube. So while you guys are here to ask questions and learn and stuff like that, I want to just welcome everyone to YouTube that, they can listen in. But right now I'm talking to the incredible Chris Jackson. And Chris is probably one of the most educated people when it comes to AI stuff that I know. And he literally works in AI. That's his job, is to build AI models and all that fun stuff. So Chris, I just saw that like Grok 4 just beat a bunch of milestones and stuff like that. I want your opinion. Is that marketing bullshit, or is Grok the new ChatGPT? What's going on with that?
Well, actually, I haven't really looked too much at Grok 4, to be honest with you. But yeah, I'm on some other stuff. I mean, last time we spoke, you mentioned doing like an evergreen sort of thing, and I've actually since been exploring a lot of different sort of projects and just trying to uh, tick off one at a time. But that's something that's going to be you probably heard more about. But I am taking that seriously and kind of going forward with some of those projects. But yeah,
So
so we'll see.
what I said to Chris is I was like, bro, you have got so much knowledge in your brain. Like you have more knowledge about AI software and AI, models in your pinky than I do in my entire head. And I suggested, I was like, dude, you need to go build out an education platform. Like he's trying to, and no offense, Chris, he's trying to like run, shared co-living and all this kind of stuff. And he's trying to squeeze out every $100 of cash flow that he can. And I'm like, bro, I see people that are sharing and selling AI knowledge and making hundreds of thousands of dollars a month on what you
Yeah.
already do every single day. What are you doing wasting your time with co-living? So,
Yeah, exactly. That's what I've been doing too. I've been setting up past splits and things like that. I've been in the field traveling. That's what I've been on. I've been traveling. I'm traveling again next week. For the next 3 weeks, I'll be traveling across two different states, three different cities. So
love it.
still traveling a lot. But yeah, it's good to tune in though. I'm home. I can tune in for
Awesome, man.
yeah,
I
it's
always
good.
love you being here. So thank you very much.
Yeah.
So guys, we've got a few of us here. And like I said, we got some other people on YouTube watching right now. Guys, if you're in YouTube, everybody that's here in our private community, you guys can have access right now. There's a link to join for $1. So as you can probably tell, I'm trying to actually finally market out the investor semester community. I'm not going to be scared hiding in the shadows anymore. It's time to share what we've got. So Yeah, but awesome. So today, guys, I wanted to talk a little bit about, obviously, every time. Yes, Ava. Jeremy. I see she says Jeremy. Yes, Ava.
Live in YouTube. Can you please check?
What's that? What about
You're
YouTube?
not live.
I'm live. I just looked at it. It is live. It should be live. Hold on. I'm going to go to my channel. Where is my channel?
It's live for me.
Yeah. It's live, Ava. I think.
For me, it's not.
Well, I can see right here. Yeah, it's live. It should be live.
I can see it from this link here.
Yeah.
This is what I'm.
Okay. It's live. It's working.
Okay.
Anyway, thank you for double checking on that though, by the way, Ava, just to make sure. That would really suck.
The
So-
audio may not be coming through though.
No, I just listened to it. It's fine.
Audio's good. Okay, good,
Yeah,
good, good,
yeah.
good.
So anyway, so guys, what I really want to do is like when we come in here, obviously this is an Ask Me Anything, right? This is if you have specific questions about real estate, the floor is yours to obviously ask anything you need to ask. However, I also wanted to set kind of a curriculum, and I wanted to be able to go over specific things that we can actually learn together, and I can teach you guys, better practices and stuff like that. To kind of give you a rundown of what I envision the investor semester starting off with is that when people join the community, there's no onboarding that's currently set up. And that's been my fault, right? Like you join, you're part of the Discord server, and there's really nothing else after that. And I've had the intentions of filming a number of video modules, but everyone always says as soon as you film your first video modules, you're going to have to film them 3 other times because you're eventually, as your community begins to grow, you're going to get a better idea of the avatar that you need to speak to. So I've kind of held off on that for a period of time, but something that's going to kind of get ramped up here soon is I'm going to be doing more or less a repeating workshop masterclass that is half going to be live and half going to be pre-recorded. Pre-recorded portions are going to be when I'm bringing in high-level speakers. Like, so if let's say we're going to be talking about lead generation, I want to bring in the owner of PropStream. And I obviously can't have him come in every single week on repeat every single time. So I just wanted to like kind of give you guys a heads up that I want to start getting better curriculum set of like what we're going to talk about. So I figured out today, just for the sake of it, Chris, I know you do a lot of pad splits and stuff like that, but I wanted to talk a little bit about disposition, right? So Perdita, I know that right now you're working on lead generation, but have you started trying to build a buyer's list? Have you started trying to go down that road? Okay. And Jason, I know that you now, sir, are trying to do mobile home parks and RV parks and stuff like that. Have you, for any reason, like let's say you get a lead for an RV park and it doesn't fit your buy box. Are you just going to let it go, or are you still going to try to get it under assignment and try to assign it out to an end buyer? What's your thoughts on that for the exit strategy?
Yeah, so the exit strategy is I'll sign it out to another end buyer and see if they have any interest in it
Okay.
and go from there.
So have you built out, because if you're doing RV parks, for example, are you doing nationwide marketing? Are you doing local? Like where are you looking for your RV parks?
I look for off market and I look on market on Christie.
Okay. But I mean, what markets? Like what states?
What states?
Yeah. Nationwide?
Oh,
Utah?
yeah, nationwide in
Okay.
every other states. If the underrun looks good, then I'll move forward with it.
Okay. So if it's a deal that doesn't fit your buy box for you to take down the deal and renovate the property and do a value add, then you're looking for buyers, right?
Correct.
Have you had the chance yet to build out a buyer's list for that?
Not at the moment.
Okay, cool. I think this is a great opportunity to then talk about this a little bit. All right. So what a lot of gurus do, about 3 years ago, it was a common practice to do what's called reverse wholesaling. And you might have heard that term before, where reverse wholesaling is essentially you are identifying the buyers ahead of time. So you can identify what your target demographic needs to be so that you can identify the properties, market to the properties, and then you've got a buyer right off the bat. Logically, it makes sense. But right now we are in a different market. Those buyers that you used to be able to reverse wholesale with, they're not buying the same way they were before. And so now it's more about broad marketing and being able to find the deals. And then you then search for the buyers after the fact. One reason that a lot of gurus will teach finding your buyers first is because it's easier energy to feel accomplished in what you've done that day. You feel like, ooh, yay, I just put together a list of buyers and look at me, I'm a wholesaler. Okay, like, yes, that is all these are all tasks that you have to do to successfully run your business. But what I say to all my students is I say that the number one thing you have to do is lead generation. You have to put revenue in first position, no matter what. And if you are spending all day long building a buyer's list, what you're not doing is you're not contacting leads, right? So you're not getting contracts. You're not putting offers out. You're not getting a deal. Fantastic that you found a buyer, but what if you find a list of 100 buyers and then you get a deal that's outside of their buy box? What'd you just do? You spent an entire day, you wasted an entire day finding a bunch of buyers for a deal that you now need to do the exact process again to find the buyers for the deal that you now have. Okay. So what I want to talk about is whether you find buyers first or you find buyers last. I want to talk about how you just generally find the right buyers. Okay. And there are a number of disciplines that we can talk about here, where we could talk about using PropStream or using ListSource or using Zillow or things like that. And I'll briefly touch on softwares to use, but I want to talk about like the easiest and the best ways to do free lead generation for your buyers. Okay, so Perdita, I'm going to talk to you. You got your camera on. Chris, you're a little bit different. You're not looking for buyers very often, right? You're actually buying the properties. You're kind of the end buyer. You're the
Correct.
Perdita would be looking for you. Okay.
Yeah.
So Perdita, I'm gonna kind of target you for this. I'm gonna talk through you so everyone else can hear. So right now you're focused on lead generation, but let's say you get a deal under contract today. Okay, you're gonna sit there and go, now what, right? What's the first thing you would do? And just let me ask you that question. If you were to say, now I need to find a buyer, what would be the first thing that you think you would do?
Probably reach out to you to see if you would
Pretend I
buy.
don't exist. Pretend I don't exist.
I probably just network and see if anyone in like my church or family
Okay.
that might buy a house might be in store to be on my buyers list.
Okay. That's not bad for, you know what? Like, I love networking and I love that you're getting like that idea gets the name out there that you are an investor. So your friends start to identify you as that. I remember, like, quite frankly, when you start down this road, Perdita, you're going to find that your circle of friends are going to transition to a completely different circle of friends. You're going to learn that. And like, I remember for me, when I first began, I said to my wife, I go, I want to go get dinner with people that I can talk about real estate with. And right now I'm talking to your friends, honey, about line dancing or about, or I'm trying to like force a conversation with their husbands. And it's horrible. I want to focus on building a circle of friends. So what I will say is networking, absolutely fantastic. You should always be doing it, but finding a buyer, not there. That's not the place you find a buyer. So the easiest thing to do in any circumstance, if you are looking like for Jason, who finds RV parks and finds mobile home parks and stuff like that, maybe you find a single family home, or maybe it's an apartment building. You want to find Facebook groups. Okay. I'm going to give you the easiest gold nugget right now. That's going to make the easiest sense for everybody here. It's a single family property. Let's say you're going to want to go into wholesaler groups, right? You're going to want to go into real estate groups. And I love that you're writing this down. You're like, you're going to want to go into the real estate groups on Facebook that you think people are going to be existing for not only buyers, but other wholesalers like you. And why would you want to look for other wholesalers like you? Well, you're going to do a singular search. You're going to go to that Facebook group. And let's say you're going to go to Investor Semester, okay? And now Investor Semester, there's not going to be a lot of posts there for this just because we just opened up the group, but like go to like wholesale real estate or something like that. And you're going to go to the magnifying glass function, the search function on that group, not your Facebook, but in that group specifically. And you're going to look for two separate search terms. One is going to be Gmail, just simple Gmail. and the other is going to be the two words down below or comment below. Comment below and down below are the same thing. Why do you think we're doing that, Perdita?
I'll find the information of the person I'm trying to reach out to.
You will. That obviously that is the goal of this whole explanation. But what you're doing by searching for either Gmail or down below or comment below is that at some point in the past, a wholesaler just like you probably made a post saying, I have a deal for sale. And if you're interested in being the buyer, put your email down below. So someone's going to put their Gmail, or they're going to say in the comments, or comment down below if you're interested. So Gmail, comment below, comment down below. You could do various alternatives of that. But overall, I think the Facebook algorithm is smart enough to be able to find, if you say comment below, it's going to find most of those posts. So now you've got an entire list of emails. And you've got an entire list of people that have recently said, yes, I'm a buyer in that area looking to buy. So now you can very quickly scrape that name and email and put it on a spreadsheet. That's step number one. If you want to get to 100 buyers in less than a couple of days, you do that for about an hour and a half to 2 hours, and you will have 100 buyers. You're muted, but yes.
Well, I'm like mind blown.
So that's the simplest way that I tell all of my students to start. Now, there are automated softwares out there and there's different ways of doing this. So like, for example, if you were using PropStream, or I was going to say Batch Leads. I don't know if you saw this, guys, but PropStream just bought up Batch Leads, which is huge. Yay, yay, yay. I'm a big fan of PropStream. If you go to PropStream, you could actually search for cash buyers. You could search for a list of buyers that have purchased properties within the past 6 months using the form of cash as their purchase ability. Now, what you might be finding in that, you might be finding some people that are just moving from California and they sold their property and they're buying with cash. Those are not the people you're looking for. But then what you can look for are what we call flippers. So it's a cash buyer with a slightly different criteria, where they have bought cash in the past 6 months and then they've sold the property again within that 6-month period of time. And you could also set it for a year as well. But essentially, you're looking for someone who has bought a property with cash and then sold that same property within a 12-month span. That person is a buyer. So now you can pull a list of those specific buyers, and you can even go so far, Perdita, you ready for this? You've got your property. You can put in the address into PropStream, and then you can draw a circle or a square around your property and go like a mile square radius, or even further out in the situation. Since you're not comping, you're only finding buyers. Most buyers will still drive 5-mile radius, like it's totally fine. But you look in a zip code and you put in your property, and then you can look for buyers that are flippers in that square radius. And now you've got a list of people that have flipped properties recently, which is also a way to help you find your comparables, find your comps, so you can find properties that are similar to your property within that neighborhood that have flipped within the last 6 months. So now you've doubled down, you found the comparable, you found what the ARV of your property is. And then you could even go so far as reaching out to those people, those flippers. And you could, even if they're not going to be a buyer, they're going to be a great wealth of knowledge. Because now you could ask them about the property that you just got under contract. If they may not be the buyer, hey, what was it like? What was your rehab cost on the property you just flipped that I'm seeing here? How much did that cost you on the rehab? So now you're able to actually uncover even more information to give you even stronger foundation to stand on for selling that deal. Does that make sense? Steve, I see you just popped in here. Nicole, you just popped in here. What's up, guys? Perdita,
What's up, bro?
did Steve didn't miss anything just now, did he?
He missed a lot, but
That's all right. Steve, you and I could hop on a call after this. But But Steve and Nicole, we're talking about Dispo today. We're going to make a focus on Dispo. And so, anyway, we'll go back to that. So Perdita, what have you absorbed? What have you taken from that? What are you going to do right away? Now, I say this again. Do you build a buyer's list today? The answer is still no. The answer is still generate leads.
Generate leads, yes.
But
So
are you scared now? Are you as scared as you never even told me you were scared in the first place? But my guess is that if you got a contract today, you'd be like, shit, what next? What do I do? Right? Did I just kind of like squash a few of those fears and make finding a buyer a little bit more tangible now?
yes, you did. Very much so.
So, and then what we haven't even talked about yet are other softwares that are specific for buyers that will literally, they're doing all the hard work that PropStream, you do on PropStream. They're doing it all for you and they're providing you basically a list of buyers right away. You could even, like my CRM that I use, and if you guys need a CRM, this is well worth it, is that not only in the CRM that I use do they give away 10,000 free skip traces per month, but they also give away for like even the lowest tier plan. If you get a property under contract, you can click a single button and it's going to populate all of the buyers that have bought within your region. And it's going to do exactly what you're looking for. And it's going to deliver it to you on a spreadsheet with their names, with their phone numbers, with their contact information. And then you can just go down the list and give them a call. So that's something that I use for national deals. Okay. So for national deals, that's really, really valuable because I go, well, I don't know any buyers in Missoula. Okay. So then a single click of a button really, really helps that out. All right. But not to say if I didn't have that software, what I just taught you just a second ago, do you need that software? No, you don't. As long as there's a Facebook page in Missoula somewhere, you'll get the information you're looking for. So any questions, Perdita?
No, not really. You explained it to me. You kind of dumbed it down for me to a point where I understand and where I'm less scared to get out there and
Love that.
try. Thank you.
Yeah, I love that. That's fantastic. So that is, I mean, I just spent roughly 20 minutes talking about Dispo. Does anybody have any other questions about like just the Dispo topic? Anything that you guys are working on, anything like that? And as I said before some of you guys came in here, obviously this is an Ask Me Anything, right? We want to make these calls to be able to talk about whatever you want to talk about. But I also want to have, instead of us aimlessly wandering through these calls every single week, I want to be able to talk about something specific. So Nicole, Steve, Diego, anything?
So not so much a question as a comment, like calling buyers. I have actually run into sellers. I'm sorry, calling sellers, I've run into buyers.
Sure.
I mean, I when you're calling on lists that you're expecting to be tired landlords, you might run into somebody that's like, no, I'm not selling anything, but I've had a couple people be like, but if you find something, call me, I'm buying.
Yep.
So
That's a very good point. Yeah. If you're reaching out to an investor list, meaning tired landlords, people that have had properties, you should always be asking that question. I have found private lenders from that, right? And talking about private lenders, someone that you buy a property from, a seller, I've had them become my private lender so quickly. Hey, you just closed your deal and just got $300,000 in your bank account. What are you going to do with that money? You want to lend it on my next flip? So now it's another way. So Steve makes a really good point that you are very easily able to capitalize off of the people you're talking to every single day. And that comes with practice, right? You're not going to naturally start asking tired landlords if they're also buyers. But if you open up a conversation with a tired landlord and they're like, no, man, I'm not looking to, sell any deals right now. And that's fine, Nicole, you could listen. But yeah, like if they say, I'm not looking to sell any deals right now. And then that kind of like reveals, well, are you looking to buy? Let me put the link in the chat real quick, guys. Hold on. Nicole just asked for what CRM I use, and I use Resimply to be specific, but I have a link that gives you guys a discount. So give me 5 seconds. I need to grab it real quick. Boom, 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 boom. Where are we? Where are we? I don't even know. Ava, can you grab the link for Resimply, and can you put it in the chat here and also put it in the chat on YouTube, please? Give it a second, Nicole. So anyway, does anyone have any questions right now? If you do, unmute yourself and speak up. No? You guys have all the answers. I love this every week.
What's going on, man?
What's up,
Thank
bro?
you for this, man. These are pretty cool. I was thinking of something, but I lost it. But I was just kind of thinking of just in general, the idea of while doing this sport, right? The connections with other wholesalers and not knowing, or some people trying to just push a deal to you, but there's somebody like there's a short daisy chain, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't even know all the information about the property. So it's just trying to be straight up and be like, hey, but I need more information about the deal before I do marketing for it, because you don't even know what's the assignment fee, whatever it is, right? Like sometimes, like I guess at the beginning you want to make some money, right? But at the same
Sure.
time, it's like, you don't want to do a bunch of work for just a few $100s. So just some things I've been seeing lately. Just
So
working
let me
with
get
some other
clarity. So you're talking about daisy chaining. Are you trying to be the daisy chainer? Are you trying to be like if you see a deal posted, you're then telling that person, hey, I can find you a buyer? Is that what you're talking about?
No, I had a few people reach out to me to help them find buyers. But it's been like two situations where one they were supposedly close to the person that had the contract, and then another one that is like two more people involved in
Sure.
it. Um, so just
It
tough trying to move things like that.
It's really interesting. I remember when I first started in this business, there was a lot more daisy chaining that I was seeing, but I was also spending a lot more time with deals that were on Facebook and deals that were being publicly posted. Now when you start to deal with, I don't know, more established wholesalers and investors, there's a lot less daisy chaining that takes place unless it is a portfolio deal. Portfolio
Right.
deals will typically always have a daisy chain involved because, you've got some old grandpa who owns 80 properties. He doesn't have the connections to find the buyers. So you typically are going to have a broker that's going to push out that portfolio. And then you're going to also have probably 1,000 wholesalers that are going to be marketing to that portfolio or even a single property within the portfolio. So then the broker says, if you could find us a buyer, you'll get a cut. I remember that was like when I first started in this business, I had so many portfolio deals in my pipeline that I was trying to find buyers for, and not many of them actually came to fruition, which kind of sucked. But like, I remember there was one that I could have made like $250,000 just for my commission, just for my assignment fee. And that would have been really cool. It never happened though.
Yeah.
But anyway, to your point though, when it comes to daisy chaining, man, it's kind of like the herpes of this business, and I hate it. I always like to be, if I'm going to be direct to seller, I'm direct to seller and I'm going directly to a buyer. If you get contacted by a wholesaler that's asking you to help them find a buyer, that's fine, but you better get the deal assigned to you. But what you shouldn't be doing is, how do I put it? You shouldn't be wasting your time on other wholesaler deals unless you are either signing a JV agreement with them to make it exclusive, or you are assigning that deal to yourself first and you're putting an EMD because you're comfortable that you can find a buyer on the deal.
Gotcha. All right.
Okay, does that make sense there?
Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
So when you're in the newer, in the trenches of being a newer investor, you're going to be underwriting a lot more deals than I do every single day. I typically don't underwrite deals very much like I used to, but man, every deal that came across my desk, I remember when I moved out to Salt Lake, I think I probably walked through 80 plus properties in less than a summer, underwriting every single deal, running the comps so that when I walked the property and this is, by the way, from other wholesalers. This is when I was only wanting to flip. This is before I wanted to wholesale when I moved out to Utah. So I was going and walking all these properties and I was running the numbers every single time before I walked the property so that I knew what my offer needed to be. So again, I'll say to you, daisy chaining is uncomfortable, but sometimes when you have a brand new wholesaler and you're an established dispo person where you've got a good buyers list, I have nothing wrong with, hey, Mr. Wholesaler, are you direct to seller? Are you the LLC that is on the purchase agreement? If the answers to that are yes, then I would feel comfortable going along with it. But if it's like somebody, it says, no, I'm not the person on the contract, I'm helping out somebody else, I would just turn around and walk away. Wouldn't even waste my time.
Yeah.
Right? I saw somebody in, I forgot who it was. I saw somebody in our Facebook group asked a question yesterday about how to find luxury leads, luxury properties. Okay. Steve, you saw that post, right?
Yeah, I did.
So let me see if I could find it real quick. I'm going to read it to you guys. Just give me 5 seconds here. Yeah, here it is. Alejandro, if you happen to be listening to this, this is your post, bro. So, hey group, how are you? Any tips on how to find sellers of luxury homes? What would be the correct approach? What tools do you use? So I asked him a question and I said, number one, if a homeowner is looking to sell a luxury home, 99% of the time it is going to be listed on the MLS, right? Because if someone owns a luxury home, very rarely are they going to be in distress. If they are in distress, then we identify that seller the same way we identify every other seller in distress. We pull a foreclosure list, we pull a probate list, like we market to them like we normally would. Now, if this guy is specifically targeting luxury properties, I really wanted to know why. Because, I mean, frankly, if you're trying to be a wholesaler, Perdita, I'm going to give you a pop quiz real quick. If you're trying to be a successful wholesaler, what should your target property look like?
I wouldn't go for luxury. I would go for the like the basics. The regular average homes to me.
Average, ding, 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 ding. Average being the word. And what we use in the real estate world, it's the median. Okay. The median household price. So when you're trying to sell a deal, the median household price is going to be that. Obviously, Tanya, yes, as a wholesaler, you should be looking for distress. You're not wrong on that. But for finding the most amount of sellers, you're looking for the average seller. For finding the most amount of buyers, you're looking for the average buyer. Because if someone's going to be flipping that home, they want to have the most amount of eyeballs on that property to get the most amount of offers. So the median household price is what we focus on. So when this guy says, I'm looking for luxury homes, I'm already going, something's wrong here. Something doesn't fit. Like, you're looking for a luxury home? Okay, great. You found a $3 million home and the seller wants to sell it to you. Then what? How many buyers are looking to flip a $3 million home? I can tell you on one hand, I know that many in Salt Lake that might flip a $3 million home. It's a completely different world out there. You got to hold the property for at least a year, 2 years. It might sit on the market for a long time. It's not you won't get multiple offers at once, right? And so I said to him, I'm just curious to ask, but why are you targeting luxury properties? And I said, because 99% of the time that luxury property is going to be listed on the market. And he says, well, I'm trying to build a strategy for appointment setting to a realtor that wants this type of property. Diego, now I'm going back to you on the daisy chain. The daisy chain works both ways. Sometimes wholesalers will try to lock up a deal and daisy chain it to find a buyer, but also sometimes agents are going to try to daisy chain their work to find somebody else to find them a deal and all that kind of stuff. And so why does that raise a red flag to me? And this is what I said. I said, sounds to me like a realtor is looking to take advantage of your time. And why are they not providing you a list to call? So what does Alejandro raise a red flag to me? He raises a red flag that he probably was calling agents on the MLS or on Zillow. He talked to an agent to give an offer, and that agent said, hey man, the offer you're making me sucks and I'm not going to present it to my client. But hey, if you find any sellers that are selling luxury properties, I'll definitely help you and buy the property from you, or I'll find the seller or the buyer for you, right? So very clearly to me, this sounds to me like Alejandro's getting taken advantage of. And Diego, why I bring that into the conversation about daisy chaining is very often a lot of new wholesalers will be taken advantage of, where someone will say, yeah, man, if you could find me a buyer, I'll definitely give you an assignment fee, or I'll definitely give you a finder's fee. So now you, the new investor, the new wholesaler, is going to spend your time trying to daisy chain out a property that the numbers might not even work, and you just wasted your time. And before you know it, you might have found a buyer 2 weeks later, but then the original dude that asked you to go look for a buyer found a buyer after 24 hours. The deal is already assigned, the deal is already closed, and you just wasted 2 weeks of your time for no reason. So circling back to what I said to you a second ago, if you are going to do any daisy chaining, you need to make sure that you have a JV agreement or an assignment agreement to you, to where you have the exclusive rights to market out that property and they do not.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Absolutely. I know it was a long circle around.
It was perfect.
No, I think it's Ava. I think it's Resimply / I think it's Replay. It should be in our affiliates right now. Hold on one second, real quick. Hold on. Come on.
Jeremy, I got a question when you're done there.
Yeah, what's up?
Okay, so there was a post a little while back, and I don't remember what group it was in, but you had commented on the guy's post. He was talking about wholesalers bringing deals where it's like, 90% of ARV minus repairs, and he's expecting 70.
Yeah.
And you had mentioned it just depends. I'm going to paraphrase, but basically it depends on the market, right?
Yep.
How do you mean? Kind of what are the indicators if you're looking at a market to say, okay, 70 is definitely not going to work here? Is it higher value? Is it just based on regional markets that are going to be different? Is it kind of a combination?
Okay. Great question. Okay. So whenever we hear about the 70% rule, that is an outdated rule.
Yeah.
That's very outdated. It was something that a lot of gurus taught before COVID hit, that if you just go in and give a 70% offer, if you give a 70% offer to a homeowner and they say yes, it's a deal. No matter what. Doesn't matter which market you're in. It is a slam dunk deal. You will be able to make $10, $20, $30, $40,000 off of that deal. You know that, right?
Right.
So that's number one. Now we have to identify that wholesaling has become much, much more popular within the past 10 years. And especially throughout COVID, it is now way, way more competitive. So you can't just give 0.7 offers every day and expect to get a deal. You have to be competitive, which is also why, in Salt Lake, my average assignment fee is $51,000. Because there's so much competition out here, and there's so many flippers that are looking to buy properties in very competitive markets, that they are willing to overpay for that property, and they're willing to actually go against where the market might be trending, because they either need that property, or they need to keep their contractors fed, which you get it. You're a GC, right?
Yeah.
If you lose your subs, what do? You're screwed.
Yeah.
Right. So a lot of times when you're at the courthouse steps for an actual auction, I remember there was the last property that I was at for the actual auction at the courthouse steps. I actually had it under contract. I had it under contract at I think 380 was the number. And the seller did not perform. The seller did not show up to sign the contract, to sign the closing documents. So it actually went to auction. Even though I had a notice of interest file, which meant that they weren't able to sell to anybody else, it still went to auction. And I remember I had it under contract at 380. And if I remember correctly, I think the guy who bought the property bought it at 470. Okay. He paid a shit ton for it. And even when I ran my numbers on what a flipper should spend, the maximum should have been 420 to 430. And they ended up spending $40,000 to $50,000 above that. Now, it's either a dumb buyer where they are not educated, or it's a heavy flipper where he's doing 10, 20, 30 flips a month and he needs to keep his crew going. So he'll happily overpay for a property just so that he can break even, if not go a little bit negative on that deal. But he keeps his subcontractors and his team fed so that he doesn't lose them to another project or another job. Does that make sense?
Right. Absolutely.
So when that guy said, they're like, oh, this wholesaler said that they calculated it at whatever it was, 0.9. I said, all right, well, that's fine. Dude, 3 years ago, I am not kidding you. We were locking up deals at 100% minus repairs. Okay. No discount.
Because the value is going to go up.
Because the value is going to go up, and the value in certain markets are still going up, right? Like Coeur d'Alene, where you're at, have you looked at the metrics recently? Like, is Coeur d'Alene going up? Is it going down? It's always going to have a dragging metric. It's not going to be like this month.
Yeah.
But if you go on the MLS, if I go on the MLS right now for Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, which I don't have access to that MLS, but if I did, you can actually look at the month over month trend of where offers are coming in, days on market, and stuff like that. My guess is Coeur d'Alene is probably still an appreciating market.
We are. We're still a seller's market. Our values are going up, day to day.
Right.
Currently, right now, this was like 2 weeks old. We've got about 2.2 months worth of inventory on the MLS.
Okay.
And it's not as strong a seller's market as it was,
Sure.
Where basically you could ask anything and get like 7 to 10 offers, but it is still definitely, we have way more buyers than we have sellers.
Right.
Which is kind of causing some interesting factors that I'm noticing trying to talk to people, even from the wholesale side, not on, not looking at active MLS, but things that are off list. And because people still know their values are going up.
Sure.
And some of them are definitely like, they're the typical, they think their house is worth 700,000 and it's only worth 5. They just know that their house is worth what it's worth, and they're not willing to take a deep discount, which is kind of where I'm starting to think that it might be really smart to work like creative finance deals with people, to bring them more dollars, as opposed to just trying to come in with like, a 0.7, 0.8 offer and be told, yeah, right, go away.
Right. That's a hard topic. Perdita, you asked about, is it good to work with an agent to get access to the MLS? The answer is absolutely yes. I have access to the MLS, and I am not a registered agent. Or I'm not a licensed agent. Sorry, not a registered agent. You have to find a friend, because technically speaking, if they give you access, they're either giving you their login or they're giving you an assistant role where they actually have to go to their brokerage and get permission for you to represent them, or vice versa, or they represent you. So it's a little bit scary for a realtor that doesn't know you, because you could, if you really want to, you could schedule listings and you could go do showings and stuff like that. So they take a risk. But yes, if you want direct MLS access, it's typically going to be working with an agent. Steve, to answer your question, yeah, man, this is a struggle that I'm going to be very blunt on. There's a reason why creative finance is a shiny object for so many people in real estate right now. And not just right now, in general.
Okay.
It is what you said right now, and this is a reason why I have a rule in my business that we don't talk about creative finance in front of the children, aka the acquisition people. Because the minute that they start learning about a creative offer is the minute that they stop pushing for the discounted cash offer, which you're right. Steve, hate to say it, buddy, but you don't have the experience in giving a 0.7 offer like I do. You haven't, I mean, you're good. You're great at speaking, right? But like, you don't understand how many people will say fuck you, I'm not giving you that offer, or I'm not selling it for that price to my team. And then I hop on a call and then I uncover their real motivation. And then we discover the problem that they're really facing, where it's not just a cash offer. They need to figure out where they're going to, put their dogs, or, their car is getting impounded, or whatever that may be. And guess what they do? They do go for the offer that I gave them. But it was a matter of psychologically uncovering that. And so what I try to tell my team is that, listen, guys, I understand it is really easy to just say, hey, instead of a 0.7 offer, what if I offered you more than what you're asking for? Would you give me payments over time? Would you let me, would you become my bank and let me take over your mortgage? And instead of me offering you 300, I'll offer you 550. Yeah.
Right.
It's a thing. The house I'm living in right now, I gave the guy 2 offers. I said, I'm either going to give you a cash offer or I'm going to give you a creative offer. He took the creative offer. He's making about $200,000 more than he would on the cash offer. He's making $200,000 more than he would on the cash offer. But I also have a 2.27% interest rate on a VA loan, and I don't have to pay him his $200,000 for a 10-year balloon. So as I'm paying down the principal on this property and I'm living in a 6-bedroom, 3-story, 6-bedroom house, I'm paying a 2.27% mortgage. So I'm living clean. I'm not overpaying. And then in 10 years, I promise you this property is going to appreciate to being worth well over 1.1 to 1.2 million. So while I'm paying down the principal, hey, you know what? In 10 years, I'll list this property. Guess what I'll even do? I'll even flip this property. I'll fix up the kitchen and the bathrooms and I'll make it look beautiful. Sure. And then I'll make top dollar on it. And then I'll sell it. I'll give him his $200,000 of equity that I owe him. And then I'm going to probably walk away with $500,000 to $750,000 in profit on this deal. So to my point, Steve, does creative finance exist? Yes, it does. It exists for a reason. But for you right now, and for a lot of people on this Zoom, you guys are looking to start your business. And I'll promise you right now, this property that I bought, it needed a $60,000 down payment. I had that down payment because of wholesale deals that I did.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if I'm you're right, they'll get you started and you come into the rest of it later.
Exactly. And
maturing.
And I will tell you right now, I am a greedy piece of shit when it comes to a good creative finance deal. If a good deal comes across my desk, I will go, how can I buy this? Right? Yeah. And that's a problem. That's a problem in the past. That's actually affected my partnerships in the past, where I'm like, dude, we've got such a great creative deal that I just structured, but it's going to cost us, $80,000 to get into the deal, but it's going to make us $1 million over the next 5 years.
Right.
What sucks about that is that sometimes you just have to give a cash offer. And that's where I say, don't talk about creative finance in front of the children. No offense, Steve, but you're a child in this business and you need to learn how to give cash offers. And you may not get a lot of yeses, but that first yes that you get is going to put $20, $30, $50, $100,000 in your pocket. But if you were to have opened up the conversation about creative finance early in that conversation, you would not be having that money in your pocket. In fact, you'd probably have even a harder time because now you've got a creative finance deal that you have to figure out how to structure, and it's going to take up hours or days out of your time to figure out how to stabilize that deal, how to get a renter to go in there or something like that, right? So again, it's the matter of the cash conversion cycle, right? It's how can you get a deal in as fast as possible, make as much money as possible. And like I said, that I mentioned this on the last call, that meth house that I did that took 9 months to flip and I made $180,000. I could have assigned that deal for $60,000 in less than a week.
Okay.
Looking back at it now, I would have much rather got that $60,000 than the $180 9 months later, because that $60,000 I could have applied towards better marketing. I could have spent more on PPC. I could have got more leads in. I could have hired more acquisition people, locked up more deals. And I promise you, spending $60,000, if we're going on the rules of third, right? So every dollar you spend on a successfully running business, you should 3x that.
Okay.
Okay. That means if I spent $60,000 in marketing, I should be getting $180,000 in revenue from that spend. So that means I could have made the same amount of money from just using more marketing. And guess what I would have done? I would have scaled my business more.
Yeah.
Instead, I focused on a meth house that went to shit. I got red tagged by the county multiple times. I had to go to court, and I finally did make 180 grand, but my God, the headache was horrible.
So that is one thing I've noticed, like looking at certain things, it kind of seems like, especially early on, I'm sure there's strategic value to, fix and flip. Obviously fix and hold has a long-term value to it, but it seems like wholesale is definitely you grab a deal, send it off to somebody, put cash in your pocket, keep rolling.
Yes.
As opposed to, if I can make 30 grand on it or 90 grand on it, but I can spend a week with it or I can spend 6 to 9 months with it, it kind of seems like a no-brainer. I'm sure there's purposes to other things, but,
you have to
in the
look
beginning, yeah.
Here's the other way I would look at it. I would see it as, if you can do a flip in 90 days, which I know you can. Okay.
Right.
If you could do a flip in 90 days and the property is on the market and you are set to make, let's say, 50,000 profit. Okay. But you could also wholesale that deal and make 20. Not only do I look at, okay, what's the value here? Can I make 20 now, or can I make 50 in 90 days? The answer is, you might be, since you're a GC, you might go, you know what? I'm okay with 50. I feel like I could hedge my bet pretty well, right? I feel good about that. I'd rather make 50 than 20. Okay, cool. Now, what if that same deal that you bought, that you're trying to flip, you uncover a foundation issue? Okay.
Right.
So now it's not 90 days.
That's no. And it's not 50 grand either.
Right. Exactly right. So now it's less than 50 grand, and now it's more like 6 months. So now you can make 20 or 30 grand in 6 months, or 20 grand in a week. That's the things you have to always think about in your head, right? So that's, again, going back to this, is that if there's a slam dunk deal, like, yes, the property I made 180,000 on, I'm happy about that. And that's why I went down the flip road, right? But damn it, it took me 9 months to get there. And it took me hours of headaches and hours of bullshit and trying to deal with the county and stuff like that. And you get it, man. You're a GC. Is it fun to work with the county?
No.
Not at all.
Every time the government steps in, it's horrible when the government steps in.
Don't tread on me.
Yeah. I mean, even in my GC business, like, I am running a large remodel right now. It's like a $200,000 remodel, and it's great. It looks awesome on paper. The people are nice. It's going to be a beautiful thing, like showcase kitchens and stuff, like, on my website. But in all honesty, I would rather be doing jobs where I'm in and out in 3 to 5 days.
Yeah.
And still making my profits and not dealing with the headaches of the constant, oh, there's this problem. Oh, now there's this problem. Oh, okay. And running into all the stupid issues of things going wrong and change orders galore. And, and on top of that, sometimes I don't like to go back to the same house for 6 months and, have the person looking at me like, are we ever going to be done? And it's like, yeah, if you quit changing things.
Right. Yep. And I'm a terrible, terrible flip owner, because I'm like going to my project manager and I'm saying, yeah, we need to change this. And then they forget to write it down. And then a week later I come there and I'm like, why did you guys not do what I asked? Anyway. So yeah. But yeah, buddy, to kind of like wrap up what your question was, there is a reason that the gurus teach the on-market offer, which is the Creative Finance zero equity offer. And that's, and I'll tell you right now, I'm going to be very, very transparent. I've created content online about how you can give creative finance offers out to the MLS. And I mean, it is a way to get followers, because it's very hooky. Like, being the term hook, like capturing that audience. Like, hey, do you guys know that you can get a free property on Zillow right now? Let me show you how. And then go to Zillow.com, find any property, doesn't matter. If it's been sitting on the market for over 60 days, offer to give them payments over time and give them their asking price, if not even more. Most of the time, if they can't drop their equity, it's because they maybe bought their property 2 years ago and they have not enough equity to drop their price while also giving commission to their agent. That means that you go in, you take over their property, you take over their mortgage, and now you've got a cash flowing, performing rental, and it costs you nothing.
Yeah.
Okay? It's hooky, and it kills me, because if I was going on social media and saying, guys, this is hard, I'm not going to get a lot of fans. Right?
No.
And but my point is that, like, for the investor semester community, for example, you will see this. You will see that I will be talking about free marketing, working with Zillow and stuff like that. But overall, the only way you're going to scale a business in this industry is with cash offers coming in. And I promise you, and this is where any guru can fight me to the death, you are never going to build a successful real estate business off on-market offers.
Yeah.
It's never going to happen.
Yeah.
$5,000 little snatches. Like, yeah, I just assigned it for $5,000, and the occasional $10,000. I don't make less than a $10,000 assignment fee on any deal that I do at all.
Oh.
Right. And that is, again,
yeah.
It's because when you're on market, you have less pain, there's less reason, and you've got a gatekeeper that's their agent preventing you from giving a really, really good offer. And so, yes,
Sure.
Could you give a creative offer? Yes, you could. Like, Steve, were you on that call with Doug, the asshole, or did you watch that? Okay, you were on that, right? Like, that's an example of talking to agents.
The guy that said he wants to, like, block investors from calling him.
Yeah. If you guys haven't seen that yet,
and
guys,
it's like, that.
If you guys were not on that call, go on to my Instagram and you'll see there's a video that I posted last week that was about an agent that basically tried to block me. Listen to that call. You're going to love it. It was a fantastic call. Someone actually came into this Zoom and they're like, yeah, I talked to this agent and this agent hung up on me. I'm like, fuck it. I'm going to call him. Let's go. Right. So right here on this call, we called the guy, and the guy literally, and I want you to listen to this call. I really do. The dude says to me over the phone, listen, man, I'm tired of this. I wish I could block people like you. And I go, what do you mean? Block buyers that are trying to make offers on your property? Like, that's not representing your client. He goes, what? You're saying I'm not representing my client? I'm like, dude, you just literally said that you wish there was a way to block these calls. I'm a buyer. And I was trying to offer him, and the guy here's the thing. The offer price should have been about 100 to 110. And it was listed for over, I think, 6 months. It was at about the 6-month mark. It was listed at 180. Okay. It was $70,000, $80,000 over market value. And yet this agent wasn't willing to work with me to try to make this deal work. And so the only thing I will say to that agent's defense, and I have to think about, sometimes I have to put myself in their shoes. What if it is a client that is just not willing to drop their price, and yet the agent is actually forced to answer phone calls like that? And that the seller is just the dickhead, right? I have to sometimes think about that. But anyway, that agent was an asshole, so screw him. Again, guys, urge you, go to my Instagram and listen to that. It was such a funny call. But anyway, again, to my point, Steve, to wrap this up, is that when you are a new wholesaler, it's fine to start. You can practice talking to agents, but ultimately speaking, what I want to do with everyone here on this call is I want you all to get eventually focused on direct to seller marketing. That's going to be guerrilla marketing. Like, I just hosted a meetup on Monday, and I had Mark Stubler come in and speak. Mark Stubler, if you don't know who that is the founder of Joe Homebuyer. They're probably the largest, if not one of the largest wholesale companies nationwide. They have over 70 franchises right now. They do over 100 deals a month. Very established business and a good friend of mine. I had him come in to speak for the meetup. And I mean, basically, he's going into every wholesaler is going to start in the same way. You either have money or you don't. And if you don't have money, you have to focus on guerrilla marketing. That's going to be door knocking. That's going to be driving for dollars. That could be bandit signs. Bandit signs could actually work. They never really worked for me, but I was also never consistent with them because I always felt weird going out at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. and putting a bunch of signs up and stuff like that and hiding from police. It just made me feel weird. So, but to the point, guerrilla marketing is a great way to generate leads. And you will do it. If you pull a foreclosure list and you go door knocking, if you are consistent at that, the key here is, and I'll say it very clearly, the more leads you generate, the more opportunities you get. That is it. There is no secret formula here. There is not a, hey guys, what kind of list are you pulling? Doesn't matter. Pull any list, call, text, door knock, any list. And the more you do that, the more opportunities you will get to give an offer. And if you're giving out more offers, you're getting more contracts. Those contracts are becoming real deals and you're making more money. So when you say, like, for most of the people that have door knocked in my door knocking army, when I put that together, we would start at about, give or take, about 45 people on day one. And by the following week, it would drop down to 20. The week after that, it would drop down to 5 and eventually be like 2 or 3 people. Because people don't want to be consistent at this. And when I tell everybody here, all of you guys here on the Zoom, or if you're watching on YouTube, be consistent. Be better than the wholesaler next to you. That is it. And then once you get your first deal, now you can spend money on marketing. Then you're allowed to do it. I give you permission to do it. Obviously, come to me for advice. I don't want you just to throw money at some stupid, shitty VA product. But overall, that's when you get to start spending money. And it's not a if, it is a when you start spending money, you will start making deals. Now, we know the averages of spending money, like on inbound marketing, which is if you're a part of the marketing masterclass that I did, you know that roughly around 10 to 20 leads, 15 to 30 on the higher end of inbound marketing will equal a deal. Can it go to 40 leads? Yes, it can. But the next month, it might be only 10. Right? So, guys, I think that kind of wraps up this hour. What you guys have anything else before we call this? What are your thoughts? Any takeaways? Anything you guys want to add or subtract? No, you guys are good. I've answered everyone's questions.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it. Chris, I would love to feature you when you're ready. I'm going to start being more intentional on getting my podcast up and running. So the Investor Semester podcast is going to be twofold. One, it's going to be interviewing people like Steve or Tanya or anybody in here where it's either you're new or maybe you've done 1 or 2 deals and you want to scale. So that's going to be kind of the Investor Semester hot seat, which is going to be like, let's pick apart your business. But then I also want to do the Investor Semester podcast, which is featuring people that are specialists in what they do. And I'd love to have you on, bro.
Cool. Yeah, sure. Yeah. We could do it virtual, in person, whatever. I'm here in Utah. So
I happen to have a studio right behind me.
There you go.
Love it. Guys, if you happen to be listening to this on YouTube, you are more than welcome. There's a link down below. You guys can go to investorsemester.com to go to our website, or you can also go to WHOP. That's WHOP.com/investor semester. I'm giving everyone a chance to join for $1. Okay. So, thank you very much. And I sound so stupid saying this. I feel like I'm marketing. It's dumb. Anyway, guys, I appreciate you all. I love you guys all for being here. If you need anything, feel free to DM me in the private community. And, if I don't see you beforehand, I'll see you guys next week. Okay.
Thank you.
Cool.
Awesome, guys.
Thanks.
Later.